Hello and welcome to another episode of Who Knew in the Moment, the podcast. Today I'm honored to have Kevin Greene with me. Kevin is a retired NFL player and pursuing now his professional career with life after football. A couple of things that were interesting to me about Kevin. One, he loves his pastrami sandwiches from Sandwich Island. And two, and we're going to hear a lot about this today, Kevin is relentless in pursuit of his goals, and he has a great attitude along the way. So, Kevin, thanks so much for being on.
Yes, man. That's crazy that you know about pastrami sandwiches from Sandwich Island. That's an old school spot at USC that we could go to.
Yeah, well, I think that was what you ate like 4 times a day. I don't know. I mean, if you would have played back in the day where you could get these endorsements, I mean, you for sure would have been the poster child, I think.
Oh, tell me about it, man. I would have had my own commercial and everything.
I love it. Well, good. Well, I appreciate you being on. And once again, I think there's going to be a lot of great nuggets to share today. But where I wanted to start with, Kevin, is growing up at 10 years old, your dad gets diagnosed with a serious health issue. Talk a little bit about just, I mean, 10 years old, it's a pivotal, age in life and, time with family and whatnot, but talk about how that impacted you and some, growing and development that had to come from that.
Yeah. When I was 10 years old, my father was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. It was definitely very tough for a lot of us, myself and my two siblings and my mother as well. It was a situation that forced me to grow up very quick. Due to the circumstances of me having to care for him, lift him in and out the car and out the bed, and out the shower, so on and so forth. But at the same time, his illness made us all stronger, if you will, as a family, as a unit.
Absolutely. So as you're growing up then and you start getting into sports, a sport that stands out to you is basketball. And that is a sport that you enjoy getting the opportunity to play. And going into high school, there were some different spots that wanted you to play there, but you picked one spot and it ended up working out pretty darn well in that freshman year.
Yes. Well, growing up, basketball was the love of my life. Due to the fact that I was 6'4" in the sixth grade. So I'm 6'4" now, pretty much been in height since I was, 12, 13 years old. And then I always thought that I'd grow up to be 6'10", 6'11", maybe even 7 feet. When I stopped at 6'4", I think my shoulders just got a little bit wider and I started to grow into my body a little bit more. So I had to kind of take away from the game of basketball and switch on to something else.
Absolutely. Now, freshman year, you guys had a great season, and talk a little bit about, I mean, the dynamic, because one thing I wanted to highlight is that you didn't necessarily know whether or not you were going to be a starter, in your role as a freshman, but you earned it.
Yeah. My freshman year, I went to Sacred Heart Cathedral over in San Francisco, went there to play basketball. It was not my first choice, to be honest with you. I grew up playing with the Oakland Soldiers with a lot of my buddies from, my AAU team. And the plan was after the 8th grade, we were all going to go to the same high school together and all win multiple state championships, right? That was the plan. Of course, our parents had different plans. So that kind of got derailed. Ended up going to Sacred Heart, where I went in as a starter, ended up taking the spot of one of the seniors on the team who had, pretty much established there. Felt that, the role was his and it was already set in stone. Me being fresh out of 8th grade, I was just happy to be there and just happy just to be on the team. I had no expectations of being on, the freshman team or JV. So, it was either varsity or bust. After a couple practices of, just kind of throwing guys around on the court and grabbing rebounds and dunking and stuff like that, the head coach, John Perez at the time, felt that he wanted to have his two main freshmen as starters. So it was myself and one of my best friends, Jerry Brown, who was a 6'6" small forward.
Yeah. Now, in that year, you end up getting to the state championship, and we fall a little bit short of winning it. But talk a little bit about the motivation that can come from getting close, but not quite.
Oh my gosh. Yes, we lost our freshman year to this high school called Horizon, based out of San Diego. And it was definitely heart-wrenching to, make it that far and then to lose. just due to the fact that we played so well our freshman year. We were so dominant, and we didn't know that we'd win the state championship or go there, but at the same time, I mean, I don't want to sound too cocky as a team, but you know what? Yeah, we were very confident in what we did. And so being able to lose the state championship, get that far, and just have the whole season come to an end like that was just like heartbreaking. I made a commitment to myself. Jerry made a commitment to himself that we were going to return 1 year, and we ended up doing that. Fast forward two years later.
Yes, sir. Now, between that event and the next state tournament run, we decide, hey, maybe I should try this football thing out. So junior year, first time deciding to play football, padding up and going out there. Once again, 6'4" in sixth grade. It wasn't as if this was a foreign idea to you. People had approached you about it before, but it was the first time you said yes to it.
Exactly. People have been telling me, since the 5th, 6th grade, Kevin, you should think about playing football. I always thought that was their secret way of telling me that I wasn't good enough in basketball, and it's not going to pan out. So kind of kept a deaf ear to those people and just kept my sights on basketball. But, it's crazy how life works out. Going into my junior year, I told myself that I'd give football a try. It was something that the coaches were constantly asking me. A lot of my buddies at school were asking me about it. So, hell, why not? Went out there, gave it a shot, and it really worked out for me. It came to me very quick. Terrell Owens was my favorite player at the time. So I wanted to, have his number 81, and I wanted to be a wide receiver. I don't think my coordination was as good as Terrell Owens back then. Me trying to run routes was I almost looked like a baby giraffe trying to walk for the first time. So I think the head coach made the decision that defense was going to be my bread and butter.
Well, 25 sacks as a junior first year playing. I think that position worked out pretty well for you.
Yeah, it did. I think the biggest thing was just I was just playing with a lot of athleticism. My skill and technique wasn't the best, but because I was so much bigger, faster, and stronger than everybody, the position of playing DN just came so easy. Easy.
So at that time, then you do start getting some attention from some different colleges and universities. It's like, hey, this guy kind of came out of nowhere, but we're glad he did because we'd like to entertain him. So talk a little bit about, I think you had said early on, maybe it was Colorado and some of those universities that had started to reach out and, recruit you, and talk a little bit about the process.
Yeah, for any high school student, just being able to get your first couple letters from colleges, that's like, wow, clearly I'm doing something well enough for, these D1 schools, which is every high school athlete's dream, right? To go D1, right? I mean, whatever life hands out to you, that's what it hands out. But you have your goal set on going D1. And so you get these letters from schools like Colorado, Alabama, Washington State, Arizona, UCLA, USC, Oregon. It's like, oh my gosh, whatever I'm doing, I need to continue to do so because I'm doing pretty well. Yeah. And here you have these teams that I'm watching Saturday in, Saturday out, writing these handwritten letters to me, saying, Kevin Greene, we're showing a lot of interest and we'd like you to join our team one day, to join our school. The whole process is very fun. Just having coaches call you, having coaches come visit your school. You have these very notable head coaches walking through your hallway, and you have all the other, high school students looking at them like, oh my gosh, that's so-and-so, that's Pete Carroll, that's, that's that Ed Ogeron, it's Lane Kiffin. Yeah. And it's like, wow, they're here to see Kevin Greene. So it really builds up your confidence. It's very fun. And I definitely miss those days.
Yeah. Now Now, was college something you knew you always wanted to do? Was that something that, family instilled in you? Was that, hey, I really like the sport side of things, and if that means I have to go to college to play it, then I will. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Education was always first in the household. My parents, they didn't give a damn how good I was in basketball. If my grades didn't follow suit, then there's no way I'm suiting up, right? Yep. And the same for my brother and my sister. My mother went to San Francisco State, and my dad was a Cal Berkeley alumni. So, it was homework, then sports. So college was always the main goal. As far as where I wanted to go, I really had no idea. My dad grew up in North Carolina. I was always a fan of watching North Carolina, like every other young kid, Michael
Yep.
Jordan. Me playing basketball, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to do. But that's for the sport of basketball. So for football, I literally had no idea. So where, I mean, Phil, to be honest with you, I really didn't care too much about, USC and stuff back in the 6th, 7th grade, like, or all these, Alabama, Texas, and all these major, football colleges. I had no idea who was good.
Yeah.
Right. All I knew was Carolina. That was the pedestal. That right there was the highlight. Like, get a letter from North Carolina for basketball, you're set. So when I made the transition to football and I started getting all these letters, I was like, all right, well, just pick and choose.
Yep. Now, after that junior year of football, we have basketball, but there's a pivotal conversation in the summer at an AAU tournament that a coach says to you about what he thinks your future should be between football and basketball. Now,
Yes.
Talk about that, because that's a tough thing to have a discussion about.
Yes, I will never forget this conversation, and I actually saw that coach this summer. Love him to death, and I thank him all the time for that conversation. So I was playing with the Oakland Soldiers, very, very monumental AAU basketball team in the Bay Area, right? Very dominant. Guys like LeBron, Kendrick Perkins, Leon Poe played for the Oakland Soldiers. Drew Gooden, Aaron Gordon, a lot of people. So I've been playing with the Oakland Soldiers since the 7th grade. I've gone to every single tournament from Vegas to Reno, Sacramento, LA, what have you. And when you're playing with an AAU team prior to high school, it's just all fun and games, right? You're just playing camaraderie. Everybody gets the ball, pass it around 5 times before somebody shoots. That's what it is.
Yeah.
When you start playing at the high school level, it turns into a business.
Yeah.
And you start seeing that, guys are out there trying to get their own shine because guys are out there trying to get recruited for themselves.
Yep.
And, hey, we love you as a teammate, but at the same time, as bad as you want that letter from North Carolina, I want it even more. Yep. So that being said, I believe it was going into my junior year or after my junior year, one of them. And we go to the Boo Williams tournament in Virginia, which was, a very prestigious tournament. I graduated 2009 from high school. So there were guys like, I think John Wall was out there. Bradley Beal was playing. Who else? A couple other
DeMarcus
big time
Cousins
guys.
was probably out there.
DeMarcus Cousins was out there as well.
Yeah.
And, I'm just out there with my guys I've been playing with all season and thinking, look, I can't wait to go out there and play against these dudes. I flew out there to that tournament, and I think I might have played 2 minutes the whole time. And it was my first experience of sitting on the bench and watching other people play before me. My first experience of getting called in for the last, 5-6 minutes of a game.
Yeah.
When all my years prior to that playing on the Soldiers, I was a starter. I was the guy. Throw the ball down in the post to Kevin. Kevin, go get the rebound. Kevin, dunk it. To all of a sudden, like, hey, Kevin, come on. Like, take your jersey off. We're going to throw you in for these last 4 or 5 minutes. And so I just remember that being like crushing to me as a 16, 17-year-old kid, young man, whatever you want to call it. And I spoke with the head coach, the founder, owner of the Oakland Soldiers at the time, Mark Olivier. And we were going out to eat. And I remember just like talking to him, having a knot in my throat and my chest. Like, Mark, I've done everything for you guys. Like, I've been in every practice, every tournament. Why am I not playing? Why are these guys who, I've never really seen on the Soldiers outside of any other summer camp or summer tournament, why are these guys playing ahead of me? Like, what did I do to you guys? Like, I've been loyal. Why do I not feel the same love? And Mark sat me to the side and he said, Kevin, I got to be honest with you. Basketball is not your sport. You are going to make so much money and you're going to have so many opportunities playing the sport of football. It's going to be ridiculous. Like, basketball, you may think that you want to do it, Kevin, but I'm trying to tell you right now, football is going to unlock everything for you in your life.
Wow.
And, at the time, I'm just coming off of my junior year playing football, not really all the way sold with the sport. Yeah, I played well, but I didn't know if that was going to be my end all be all.
Yeah.
So I had that conversation with him. Needless to say, I didn't get more time playing.
Yeah.
It was just a situation to where I had to sit with that and really kind of think about the bigger picture. So after
Yes.
having that conversation with him, it really helped me make my mind up as far as, what I needed to do. Because as I said earlier, the guys who I played with on that team, they were getting those big time letters from, these colleges.
Yep.
But at the same time with football, I was getting the same letters, if not greater, just for a totally different sport. So that right there was a very tough conversation that I had. But like I said, I saw Mark earlier this summer, and I thank him every single time for it.
So I want to dive into that, because how frequently do we try to skirt around conversations or not have them because we're afraid of someone else's response, even though it's the truth, right? Even though it's what we believe is best for them. And if we do have them, it's tough for a moment. But like you said, a decade later or more, right? You see the guy and you say, thank you, right? He could have just said, well, I'll play him an extra 4 minutes next game, but I won't give him this, advice or this feedback. So maybe discuss that a bit of, having tough conversations and why that's important, even, outside of a sporting realm.
Well, Phil, it's the truth, right? And I think there's the old adage of the truth hurts, and not a lot of people are ready to hear the truth.
Yeah.
That was the truth when Mark told me that. Now, as an individual, from hearing that, I can take it two ways. I can be pissed, or I can take it as a form of learning.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose to take it as a form of learning. One thing that I always tell people, especially, just young men, young women and stuff that are in sports or just outside of sports, any adult or older person who cares about you enough, they're never going to lie to you. They're never going to give you bad advice.
Yeah.
Mark never gave me bad advice. And his advice to me of football being my sport and not basketball was one of the realest things that I had heard at the time, because my parents weren't going to tell me that. My uncles and stuff, my high school coach, he's not going to tell me that. But Mark did. And so I think that more people need to be able to communicate and have those awkward conversations, because at times you can be holding vital information back.
Yeah.
Like you gave a perfect example. If Mark were to just say, all right, Kevin, we're going to play you a little bit more towards the end of the tournament, right? We have 4 games left. I'm going to give you some more minutes. Okay, that's great. That's what I wanted to hear. Perfect. We don't need to talk about this anymore. That conversation took 20 seconds.
Yep.
But he didn't. He said, Kevin, basketball's not your sport. No, I'm not going to play you more. You're gonna make a lot of money playing football. Yep. And I got to go back to the hotel room, still the same knot in my chest, realizing that here I have this dream of playing basketball and it's over just like that, just to an extent, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because Mark was the first person to tell me, in a way, like, look, you're not going to go pro playing basketball. You're not going to go to D1, to a D1 school playing basketball. Yep. Like, Carolina's not knocking at your door for you to play basketball, because you're not going to a D1 college, and you're not like all these guys, Kevin, that you see on all these other teams. They're going to college for 1 year and then they're going straight to the NBA or straight overseas.
Right.
You're going to go pro, but you're going to have shoulder pads on and a helmet. So
yeah. Well, I
always tell.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Go. No, please.
I was just going to say, one of the things that is so important that you said, though, is it was someone you trusted. Right. It's not, we can't just take information from anyone that says it to us, right? Because there is a resiliency factor. Sometimes you have to say, I don't think you're right on that, right? I need to be resilient. But when it's someone that truly has your best in mind, they're saying it out of a place of like, I really think this is in your best interest, not, trying to break you down or just to, derail the conversation. It's, hey, this person had your trust, so therefore we'll listen to what they had to say there.
He had my trust and he had my respect.
Yeah.
And I think that when you are having having a conversation with an intensity level as that one did, I think you as a person who is asking the question, or you as the person who's taking the advice, you have to make sure that the person who is giving you that advice is somebody who you hold to high standards.
Yep.
You know, older sibling, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, you know, coach that you've known for the past 10, 11 years, right?
Yep. That's good. I love it. Now, we get into senior year, still playing football. Football goes really well senior year. And we started showing up on the high radar of USC and Pete Carroll. And once again, this is, 2008, 2009. I mean, that's about as good of a school as you can be asked to be recruited by. So talk about what made that the final decision of this is where I want to go over anywhere else.
Oh, man. Yes. So Pete Carroll was highly recruiting me. The offensive line coach for USC, his name is Pat Rule. His territory for recruiting was Northern California.
Yeah.
So before I spoke with Pete, before I met Pete, I was constantly talking to Pat Rule.
Yeah.
And I love Coach Rule to death. He came by my house one day, just for a visit, just to check in and see how things are going. And this man leaves before he okay, Mr. and Mrs. Greene, it's a pleasure meeting you. I'm going to talk to Kevin for a quick second. And as I'm walking him out, he turns around and says, Kevin, you can either come to USC and kick ass, or you can go somewhere else and get your ass kicked by us.
I love it.
And I thought about that and I was like, oh my gosh, like I haven't had a college recruiter coach talk to me like that during this whole process. Like I'm for sure coming to USC.
Yes.
And then a couple months later, they won the Rose Bowl against Penn State and just did it in a fashion that it just made, no disrespect to Penn State, but hey, I mean, I'm a Trojan. It made Penn State look like a Pop Warner team.
Yeah, right.
So, just seeing that, it was like, why would I want to go anywhere else?
Yep.
Why would I want to go anywhere else? I mean, they're winning the Rose Bowl 2008, 2007. They beat Illinois, another Rose Bowl championship. It's like, why would I want to go anyplace else?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, before you step on USC's campus, though, we had to go back to the state tournament in basketball, and you put up an impressive 20 rebounds and a better outcome.
Yes. I'll even take it back further than that. My junior year, we went to the Northern California Championship.
Okay.
And we lost to Sacramento High.
God.
We saw Sacramento High earlier that season in a Christmas tournament. You got Bay Area, Sacramento, two rivals when it comes to sports, especially with, especially with football and basketball. So, and a lot of those guys on the Sacramento High team, I played against in AAU basketball.
Okay. Yeah.
So we lose to them in a Christmas tournament, and I'll never forget the coach for Sac High comes up to my coach, Daryl Barber at the time, and he says, we're going to see each other again. Like, we are going to see each other again.
Yep.
And Coach Barber says, yeah, you're damn right we are. Fast forward a couple weeks, couple months, we see Sacramento High in the Northern California Championship. The winner of the NorCal Finals goes on to state. We lose that game to Sac High. And I see the head coach laughing, not in a mischievous way, but just kind of chuckling as after the game, everybody's shaking hands.
Yeah.
And he comes up and gives Coach Barber, they shake hands and say, look, I told you that we were going to see each other again. And I don't know if like any of my other teammates or Coach Barber or the Sac High coach knew that I heard that, but like I just remember hearing that, and that lit a fire in me the whole year.
Yeah.
Going into my senior year. I mean, to where, Phil, I literally had Sacramento High on a piece of paper pinned in my room.
I love it.
So, I was like, Kevin, I don't care what the outcome is. I want to play Sacramento High again. And that's the way that it worked out. Fast forward to our senior year, I think we might have lost maybe 2 games that whole year.
Yeah.
Both games were preseason to where I was still playing football. So that's just how good we were our senior year.
Yeah.
We played Sacramento High in the NorCal Finals, and we spank them.
Yeah.
We spank them. And, I didn't say anything to the coach after, but in the back of my mind, I said, yeah, like we saw you ass again, and you
Yes,
know, and
sir.
like, yeah. And, you know, I think I personally, just like everybody says after watching the Michael Jordan documentary, right? I
Yep.
took that personal.
Yes. Yes.
I took that personal. And so we end up beating them and we go into the state championship and we won. We played Oceanside, Oceanside High School out of San Diego, who actually had a young man, Anthony Brown, who went on to play at Stanford and then go on and play for the Lakers.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so we ended up beating them by about, I think, 15, and I recorded 20 plus rebounds in that game and set a state record, you know, for the
Yeah.
most rebounds brought down in a state championship game. And I think it's still there. Maybe. I mean, I hope a young man broke it, you know,
Yeah.
by this time. Yeah, I'm pretty sure somebody has. But, you know, fast forward to that, like, that was just a dream come true
Yep.
because that was our second time going to the state championship. I think the last time Sacred Heart Cathedral, my high school, went on to the state championship and won might have been like in the 90s. And there was another fuel to fire because our women's basketball team was literally the LA Sparks. um, our women's basketball team was so good
Yeah.
for at least, I want to say at least 4 consecutive years.
Yeah.
Back to back to back to back state championships. I mean, just ran the freaking table.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, you know, it's all love. We love seeing our girls play well, but it's like they're running the table and we're getting our butts whipped.
Yep.
So like finally being able to hang that banner as a senior and just say, you know what, this is the fulfillment that I've been looking for as an athlete, as a high school athlete. Your ultimate goal are two things as a high school athlete: win a state championship, get your college paid for.
Yep.
Like those are the two things, bar none. And so being able to win a state championship as a senior in basketball was like a dream come true. And I still have the ring. I still have my championship T-shirts. You know, I have everything in my room, you know, at my mom's house in a box somewhere.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So as we transition into USC, then, you know, it doesn't matter how good you are. There is just a learning curve, and there's a difference to be going from playing as a 17, 18-year-old to, I mean, sometimes there's 24-year-olds on the team. You know what I mean? Like, there's just some older dudes. There's a lot of maturation of the mind and of the body that happens in that kind of 4 to 6 year window. So
Oh my
as we
God.
come on campus, you know, like a lot of freshmen, you end up redshirting freshman year, but you came in as a linebacker.
Yeah.
Between year one and year two, though, they transition you from linebacker. So talk about that. You know, one, just the learning curve of going from high school into, you know, a prominent university like USC. But two, then also just adjusting in positions. I mean, once again, that's not an easy task to do.
No, not at all. As I said earlier, you know, in high school, I played defensive end, and my whole agenda was to get off the ball, sack the quarterback.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure, you know, as far as playing the run and stuff like that, like I said, my whole thing was get off the ball, sack the quarterback. So when I get to college, they switched me over to outside linebacker. And it was, you know, that whole adage that I said earlier about like a baby giraffe being able to walk for the first time. Yeah, baby giraffe, but like born blind. Okay. That's how I looked out there my first practice.
Yeah.
Because, you know, one, I barely know how to play football. I only had 2
Right.
years of football underneath my belt.
Yeah.
And then I go to the best school in the country that has the best football team at the time, and I'm asked to play outside linebacker. Now, mind you, I'm asked to play outside linebacker a year after the 3 best linebackers in all of college history just left for the NFL.
Yes.
Okay. So, you know, here I am with shoes to fill that are so big, I'm up to my neck in them. Right.
Yeah. Right.
So it was a situation where, you know, the learning curve for me took a very long time in college because there was just so many attributes to the game that I'm not going to say I wasn't ready for, but I didn't pick up as quickly as everybody else, or I didn't pick up as quickly as the coaches had wanted me to.
Yep.
because the game of football was not natural.
Right.
It did not come natural to me at all. The running fast and being strong, yeah, that was all natural. But being able to make plays on the field, I was hesitant. Being a basketball player, we don't want to get hurt. So I still had, a little bit of timid basketball playerness in me out there on the field, because I didn't know how to throw my body around. I didn't know how to, that breaking fingers and jamming fingers and stuff like that is a part of the game.
Right.
Twisting your ankle on a play, like that's what football players do.
Yep.
My whole thing was get off the line, look as good as you can, and get a sack, and then do it all over again without anybody, touching you and stuff. And so,
Yeah.
that mentality, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna play myself and say I went into college with the wrong mentality. I just didn't know what mentality I needed to have. The
Yep.
mentality that I did have, Phil, was, I knew how to work hard.
Yep.
I knew how to work, and I know that sounds cliche, but that's something that I had instilled in me. Okay, Kevin, if you don't get it, do whatever you have to do to catch up to where you can get it.
Yep.
And whether or not that's watching extra film, that's hanging out with, the older linebackers on the team who are going to teach you the ins and outs, do what you have to do to where you can catch up to speed.
Yeah. Well, and I want to highlight that too, Kevin, because, you and I both playing college athletics. To play all of your years is abnormal. There's a lot of people that went to college for a year and played a singular year, but it didn't go the way they wanted to, or coach didn't play me enough, or, I don't want to put the work in anymore. And that's their story, right? That was the end of it. And it's no disrespect to anyone. It's just saying it's very abnormal to actually make it through your entire career. So
Yeah.
talk about your resiliency factor and just that hard work ethic that allowed you to continue to, keep going, even when things probably weren't going the way you would have ever dreamed they would have went.
That right there just goes back to my parents. I mean, my dad being diagnosed with MS at the young age that he had it, he didn't quit, he kept going. My mom, she didn't give up on the marriage,
Yep.
she kept going. So, like if my parents can go through what they're going through, then, being able to learn how to play a sport that I wasn't born into playing should be, easy. I can just dust that right off. So I think knowing the position that I was in, because one, if you're able to get your college paid for by playing a sport, you are in a position that people are, begging to be in.
Correct.
So what you have to realize as a student athlete, you can't let that go to waste.
Yep.
You cannot. You're in a position that you are extremely blessed. So I didn't want to let that go to waste at all. I knew in the back of my mind that, hey, Kevin, you might not be a starter, this year or next year. But at the end of the day, like the coaches, one thing that they're never going to say is that, Kevin Greene, like that kid works hard, like that kid gets after it. Like he's always studying, he's always watching film. He's doing whatever he has to do behind the scenes to make sure that he's catching up to speed and to make sure that when his name is called to play, he's ready. One thing I always tell people, look, if you continue to do this, the right thing day in and day out, only good is going to come. It may not be when you want to, but it's going to come. So you just have to stay consistent.
That is good. That is so good. So as you continue to progress, each year you're getting more and more playing time. But once again, it's probably not the level that you're aspiring for, right? You're a competitor. Like I heard you talk about that when you said you were a freshman in high school, you wanted the seniors role. Like you're a competitor. I get that. But additionally, you have a coaching change and then you have another player, position change. Talk about that. I mean, once again, I'm sure as it keeps happening, there's a little part of you that just feels like, man, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. So my freshman year at SC, I was playing outside linebacker. Then they switched me back to defensive end, something that feels a little bit more comfortable to me. Pete Carroll, as everybody knows, leaves USC, comes up to the Seattle Seahawks, and Lane Kiffin is now our head coach.
Yeah.
And me playing D-line, I go from Jethro Franklin, who was my D-line coach, to Ed Ogeron, who is now the LSU head coach.
Yeah.
And, I'm playing D-line underneath Ed Ogeron, which, I don't think anybody saw what was coming with Coach O being my coach. Like, I love that man like crazy, but his coaching style is definitely unique. It is very unique. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So, I spent 5 years in college, 3 years playing defensive end, and my senior year, they switched me to tight end. They switched me to offense.
Yeah.
So, here you go, Phil. I played 2 years of high school football, get a scholarship to USC to play defense, okay, to learn how to play defense at the highest level.
Yeah.
Spend all my time watching film, doing all this stuff behind the scenes, hanging out with the older players, taking notes to learn how to play defense at the highest level. As a fifth-year senior, Kevin, we need you, and I'll never forget this meeting. This was my final training camp. I'm still in the same situation, Phil, to where there are guys that are younger than me that are playing in front of me, who are recruited by Ed Ogeron, who are recruited by Lane Kiffin. I was a player who was inherited. And because my learning curve was so far behind, there were guys coming in after me that they felt were ready to play more than myself.
Yep.
But at the same time, because, I don't quit, I'm still giving it my all as a fifth-year senior when I'm supposed to feel entitled, if you will, right, to be out there on the field.
Yeah.
But, I'm still out there taking practice reps and doing stuff on scout team and stuff like that as a 22-year-old fifth-year senior. So we're in training camp, and I walk into the D-line meeting. It's a regular, I don't know what day it is. It all blends together. Yeah. And Coach O, he says, "Hey, Kevin, today at practice, you're going to go down with the tight ends and give them a look." Now, what I thought he meant was I'm going to go down and pass rush against the tight ends.
Right.
So that they can work on their blocking schemes, right? Fifth-year senior, not playing. Yeah, Kevin will go down there and just, give those guys a look. And I said, all right, Coach, yeah, no problem. Just let me know, what point in practice you need me to go down there. He's like, no. I need you to go to the tight end room. You're gonna be a tight end for practice. So, I hear that, and it caught me off guard. But I said, well, hell, Kevin, you're not playing as a defensive end. Like, go down there and see what can happen as a tight end.
Can I pause you right there? Or no, keep going with your thought. Keep going with your thought. I think you're going where I want to go.
What a lot of people don't know is that when Pete Carroll was the coach, there were talks of me playing tight end for spring ball. Once the season was over and we go into spring ball, Kevin, we're going to think about you playing tight end. But as soon as the new coaching staff came, that whole idea was washed away. Right. Never spoke about it again. Yep. So that's my mentality with it. I said, all right, Coach, well, I'll see you guys during practice.
Yes. So throughout all of that, I mean, just in that story, the impact of choice is so important there, right? Because in that moment, you could just say, chuck your helmet, chuck your pads, say, forget this, dude. Like, I don't need you guys, hey, thanks for everything, but I'm out of here. Like, you guys have been pulling me around each and every way. But you said, you know what, hey, I'm not getting the minutes or the reps or the, the snaps I'd want to on defense. Like, I mean, worst case is I go over to offense and the exact same thing is happening. So might as well try it.
Might as well try it. And, I think that goes back to what I discussed earlier with somebody who, I mean, of course, whatever the coach says, like, that's what the hell you're going to do. Right. Yep. But I think it goes back to, Coach Ogeron. He cared about me so much to where he's like, all right, well, what are some ways that I can get this kid on the field? Yeah. Because, Kevin, I love you, but it's not in my game plan to have you play as a defensive end for us. Right. Right. Yep. So, Kevin, there's a small opening for you to play tight end because there's some injuries over there. I think, Kevin, that can fit you. Yeah. So that's somebody who cares about you a lot, somebody who you look up to, somebody who you trust, that is giving you advice to where they see the best in you. Yep. So he told me that. I said, all right, Coach, I'll go down there. Like, whatever you feel is best. I mean, as a college teammate, as a college football player, hey, whatever's best for the team, right? Like that's the mentality that you have to go with. So that was what's best for the team. And man, come to find out, it was best for myself, to be honest.
Yeah.
Playing tight end is just like playing basketball.
Yes.
Going up to catch a pass is just like going up to grab a rebound.
Yep.
And I had no idea about that. So, Phil, my first practice, like I'm giving guys trouble on the field. I mean, I'm literally running circles around our starting outside linebackers, our starting safeties, guys who have been getting these letters from the NFL for months, who know that they're going to get drafted.
Yeah.
And I'm making them look crazy on the field, like during practice. And like I'm watching myself on film play as a tight end, just routing these guys left and right. And while I'm out there on the field, I'm seeing the coaches like, damn, we should have put Kevin as tight end years ago, And then you have some of the equipment guys,
Yeah.
who, man, he should have played this years ago. Like, where did we go wrong? But, I mean, I didn't know what was best for me. I thought what was best for me was to learn how to play defensive end and, learn how to catch up with that position as quickly as I could. So playing tight end was awesome.
Well, so you made a comment, and it's a cliche term, but I want to talk about in a bigger spectrum. You said the being a part of a team is bigger than myself, right? But I want to talk about that just in like the grand scheme of life, right? Like whenever you get so focused in on you, that's oftentimes when life seems to get out of whack, or our mentality starts changing. When we start realizing, hey, I am one piece of whatever it is that I'm a part of, that oftentimes brings much more joy and fulfillment out of it, because you're part of something bigger than yourself. So talk about that for you, whether that's from a personal standpoint, or I mean, it could just be in the football standpoint as well, but just being a part of something bigger than you and how that can bring joy and fulfillment outside of just focusing on Kevin.
As a child, my dad would always tell me that, actually my mom and my dad, Kevin, like you are a leader. You are a natural born leader.
Wow. Yeah.
And everything that you do sets an example for other people who are looking up to you.
That's awesome.
Whether it be your siblings, your teammates, or what have you. So with that mentality instilled in me, I always put others first before myself, because I always want to make sure that everybody else is taken care of, is okay, is fed, is warm, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to call it, right? I want to make sure that person is taken care of before myself.
Yep.
You can literally have the shirt off my back if it'll keep you from catching pneumonia.
Yep.
And I'll jog in place to keep me warm. So, with that ideology distilled in me, that plays a big role in how I saw a lot of things as a fifth-year senior, being asked to play tight end, as a fifth-year senior being asked to go down on scout team with other redshirt freshmen.
Yep.
That's just the way I saw it. Like, put others first before yourself.
That's so good. So as that senior year comes to an end, once again, pro day is an important day. So we have pro day. We're getting geared up for the NFL draft as a tight end. And draft day comes. It ends without getting drafted, but it doesn't last very long. So talk about, yes, it sucks. I didn't get drafted, but it wasn't too long, and there were teams that wanted Kevin to be a part of their organization.
Yep. Pro day happens. I test extremely well during pro day. I think I had the fastest 40 time out of everybody. That's wide receivers and DBs included. I think I ran a 4.4.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a lot of game film, but the way I tested put me on the radar as far as coaches looking at me. Draft day comes. I obviously knew I wasn't going to get drafted. I said it might be luck's chance towards I might be the last pick, and that's just taking a chance.
Yeah.
That phone does not ring towards the end of the draft. But my agent calls me as soon as the draft is over, and he says, Kevin, you've been invited to the rookie mini camp with the Oakland Raiders. I said, oh, great. Okay, cool. But you got invited to the Oakland Raiders rookie minicamp as a defensive end. And I'm like, damn, all right, well, you know what? Let me scroll, find the notebooks and see, see if I can do this.
Oh.
Like, let me find some old defensive end, techniques and whatnot.
Yeah.
I participate in their rookie minicamp, playing defensive end. I try my best. I'm literally taking reps right after Khalil Mack, watching him get off the ball. I mean, Khalil, I think, was the third pick that draft.
Yep.
And I still talk to Mac to this day and just joke about, like, look, man, I had no business playing defensive end behind you, bro. Like, I'll say that to you as a grown man, right? So, it didn't work out for me as defensive end at the Raiders rookie minicamp. And after minicamp is over with, I'm thinking my football career is over, right? I'm thinking, all right, Kev, well, what's next? Like, I didn't understand how free agency works. I figured names have been picked, names have been called, and if your name was not called, that's it.
Right.
Get a job. Rely on your degree. I had 2 degrees from USC, so I was like, all right, I think I'll be all right. I got my master's.
Yeah.
But on the last day of rookie minicamp with the Raiders, my agent calls me again. He says, hey, Kevin, you've been invited to rookie minicamp with the 49ers, and they want you to play tight end. I said, oh, all right.
Pull out my other notebook.
Yeah, let me find the other notebook now. Okay, this is the route tree and stuff. So I go to rookie minicamp as a tight end with the 49ers, and it worked out perfect. The free agent tight end that they brought in, who is my best friend to this day, I talked to him last night, Asante Cleveland, went to Miami, and he tweaked his hamstring the day before rookie minicamp. So with that being said, I was the main guy to play tight end out of all the rookies that were trying out, because Asante was the only tight end they brought in as a rookie.
Yeah.
And so he has to sit out during rookie minicamp. So he's teaching me, he's teaching the other guys, coaching us all up. And the other 2 guys, great guys, but from an athletic standpoint, we weren't on the same level.
Yep.
So towards the end of rookie minicamp, and I'm doing my best. I'm catching, running routes, showing my speed and stuff. And this is the thing that people don't realize about these rookie minicamps, Phil. It's not just that there's 13 guys, 1 guy for each position.
Right.
At the Raiders rookie minicamp, there were 70 guys. There were 70 players there. Some rookies, some. Go ahead.
And you're probably going for what? 1 or maybe 2 of you would make a roster spot, maybe?
1 or 2 out of 70 guys in all these different positions. Some are rookies, some are 4-year vets, some are, what have you. The Raiders only took 2. At the 49ers, I think there were 30 of us in total. So smaller numbers. Yeah. Right. So that can play in 2 ways. That's like, hey, we just want you guys to here just to see what you can do, because we already have our guys, or maybe by, some crazy chance, we'll keep 1 of you guys.
Yep.
So towards the end of rookie minicamp, Coach Harbaugh at the time, he has us all huddled up, and, he's just saying, all right, guys, great camp. You guys all did well. We'll be in contact. We're going to keep, 2 players. But all you guys did great, and if something happens, we'll reach out. I forgot. So he said we're going to keep an outside linebacker. I forgot the guy's name. He played at Stanford. He was actually a second-year player in the NFL. We're going to keep him, and we're going to keep the tight end Kevin Perry. And so everybody looks around like, who the hell is Kevin Perry?
You're like, dang it, there's a second tight end with the name Kevin.
Oh my gosh, here we go again. And then somebody corrects him, like, no, Kevin Greene's. And Coach Hall was like, oh, Kevin Greene. And so, man, like just my head just dropped down to the ground. Like I was trying to hold back all sorts of emotion. And I just felt like I made it, right? I had that I made it to the NFL feeling.
Yep.
And in a way that kind of sounds selfish, because I was blessed enough to be invited to these rookie mini camps, which there were guys that I played with the USC that didn't even have that opportunity. Right. So, but I felt like I made it, and come to find out, everybody in the organization knew that they were going to keep me the day before. The decision was already made. but I didn't know that. So I'm sitting here talking to the trainers, talking to Asante, and like he already knows that they're going to keep me. He just couldn't say anything.
Oh
So,
man.
I basically just freaked out, man. And, being from the Bay Area,
Yeah.
regardless of me growing up in Oakland, going to high school in San Francisco and being able to play for the 49ers, I mean, it couldn't have started off in a better way, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
especially playing with guys that I literally had hanging up in my room on posters.
Right.
Because my rookie year was the last year before everybody kind of either retired or went to other teams.
Yes. So in that, I want you to just talk about all of the culmination of that, because you had talked about when you got to USC, you had a little bit of a chip on your shoulder because Cal and Stanford didn't offer, but USC did. You're like, really, guys? And then you don't get drafted, so it's like, all right, well, now I got a little chip on my shoulder, and then the Raiders don't keep you, and so you go to the Niners. Talk a little bit about how the chips on our shoulder can actually give a lot of good motivation to us to drive us and continue to motivate us even when there might be days we don't want to do what we know we need to do.
It's just adversity.
Yeah.
It is adversity, and just realizing that life is all about being tested, and it's all about how you bounce back from being tested. And I know every single student athlete, college athlete, professional athlete has heard that time and time again, but the way that it is presented to you is different for every single person because your situation is different.
Yep.
My situation, the Raiders didn't keep me. Okay, that's fine. I have 2 degrees from USC. I can go get a job just like that.
Yeah.
For somebody else, the Raiders didn't keep you. Man, I have a baby on the way. I chose to leave early from college. I don't have my degree. I
Right.
don't know what's next. Right.
Yep.
So how do I bounce back from not being, either recruited from Cal or Stanford or being kept from the Raiders versus the other guy?
Yep.
So, learning how to deal with adversity and being able to have it be a motivator for you. You can either let it motivate you or you could let it tear you down. Um,
Yes.
I chose not to let that happen. I mean, I think I had an interview with after practice at SC, and I said, look, I don't feel like I have a chip on my shoulder. I feel like, the whole thing isn't there. Like I feel like I it's a boulder,
Yeah.
that's on my shoulder. Because that's just how much I've been tested from high school, from college, and then, my entry point into the NFL. I mean, it was all adversity.
Yeah.
It was all adversity. So that's why I take it with a grain of salt, and I realize the position that I've been in, and I never take it for granted at all.
Yes. So I'd love to say at this point we're with the Niners and it just takes off, right? It just, hey, a Pro Bowl season is looming, but we have some more adversity that comes.
More adversity. The Niners end up letting me go after training camp. And once again, I'm put in that position to where, okay, Kevin, well, that was a fun training camp. I guess it's over. Names have been called. Names have been kept. I go back home to my mom's house in Oakland, and I'm dealing with the depression of my athletic career is over.
Yeah.
Is over. My athletic career is over, and my football career is over in the span of Phil, I'd say 5.5 years.
Right.
Right. But not knowing how things work out, my agent calls me, hey Kevin, we have a workout with the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going to fly you out tomorrow.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Okay. Well, Orlando, what position? This is all tight end. All right. Well, let me get ready. Fly out to Cincinnati, have a workout with the Bengals, and they keep me a week before the season starts.
Yep.
Right. So as a young rookie, all right, cool. I'm with the Bengals now. That's fine. This stuff happens in the NFL. I'm going to be a Bengal for the rest of my career. Halfway through the season, Kevin Greene, coach wants to see you. Can you bring your playbook? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll be down there in a second. Yeah, no, yeah. I would love to see coach. Have a meeting with coach. Hey, Kevin, we're going to go in a different direction. Great. What direction are we going? Where do I need to be? What time tomorrow? He's like, no, we're going to have to let you go. And so once again, Phil, I'm put in the position to where it's adversity. I'm cut. I don't know what's next. Dealing with depression again real quick. Thinking that's it, but it's crazy how God works, man, because, I was able to have multiple workouts, have other tryouts. I go from the Bengals and I finish my rookie season in Carolina with the Panthers. Where they re-signed me after the season. I make a lot of great relationships over there with players, coaches, and even more so, with the Niners and with the Bengals as well. Finished my rookie year in Carolina. It's the way the NFL works. It's a politics numbers game. They release me, and I get picked up by the Tennessee Titans, where I chose to finish my career. Over a span of, I think 3.5-4 years of just, up and down, being let go, being cut, being kept, stuff like that. So, being able to finish my career in Tennessee, where, I was able to learn from an older brother of mine, Delaney Walker, was a dream come true, because I watched Delaney play as a high schooler with the 49ers. So, Walker Texas Rangers, what I used to call them. And I used to joke with them all the time. Like, man, like I remember as a 17-year-old, I used to watch you, run behind Vernon and stuff like that. And now I get to hang out with you day in and day out, and you get to teach me everything.
Yes.
So it was great.
Yes. So you highlighted something in there, and I've had a few folks that are no longer in the NFL on the show, and one of them, his name's Joe Hawley. He retired from playing with the Buccaneers and the Falcons, and he sold all of his possessions and took a van ride across the country to just find out who the heck am I.
Yes.
Post football, right? Like I've tied so much of my self-worth and so much of my confidence to a sport and to people's opinion of my ability to play the sport. Now who am I? Now where do I go? And he's found it, and he's doing that with Heart Collective now. That's part of his job, or part of his business. But talk a little bit about that for you. I mean, and I'm sure it's always a work in progress, but I mean, talk about as you're progressing out of that and being able to find, hey, who is Kevin, not the football player, but who's Kevin Greene, the person, the man?
Well, I think first off, like shouts out to Joe, because that is something that a lot of people do not know how to deal with unless you are in the professional athletic setting. Being able to have your career taken away after a 15-minute conversation it's like a nightmare. So I think my biggest thing was not allowing football to define me, which is what a lot of people do, right? Because you're seen as Kevin Greene, the USC athlete, Kevin Greene, the 49er, the Tennessee Titan, and everything that follows that name. I mean, to where, Phil, you're introducing yourself as, oh yeah, my name's Kevin Greene. I play tight end for the 49ers.
Yeah, right.
So, or I'm Kevin Greene. I play football at USC. So now it's like, yeah, I'm Kevin Greene. And
I'm a really cool guy, but
I mean, what can I, what value can I bring to a conversation or to an intro meeting with somebody that is outside of athletics? And it's tough to find that, man, once sports is over with, because your whole life has been that. You cannot let your sport identify you. I play professional football, but at the same time, that's not who I am. I'm so much more than that, right?
Yes.
I'm a man first. I'm a sibling. I'm a child, from my parents. Those are things that make up how I got to where I was playing athletics. But at the same time, without sports, it's not like I am nothing. Now, that being said, Phil, when your football career comes to an end, it can take some time for you to realize that.
Yes.
Right. Like, I'm pretty sure, it might have taken Joe longer than it took me, or it might have taken my buddy Asante a shorter time than it took me. But at the same time, you have to realize that however long it's going to take you, you have to understand that, for one, that's okay. That's okay. And that there are outlets. You have to find an outlet for you to cope with that. whether it be doing something completely different, whether it be having a conversation with people that have been in it, or selling everything and taking a drive across the country.
Yeah.
Like, whatever works for you, go with it.
Yes. That's so good. Well, Kevin, I appreciate your time and you sharing your story. There is no doubt in my mind that you are going to have just abundant amounts of success because of everything you've learned on your road, right? And once again, highlighting just the extreme work ethic you have, the vision that you have for being a part of something bigger than yourself. It's not all about Kevin, and that translates to whatever it is that you do in your life. And so I know you're going to be abundantly successful, and I can't wait for us to do this again in 3 or 4 years when you've accomplished so many more things. And it's going to be like, Kevin, who knew in the moment when we were talking what was even in store for you in the future?
Phil, I appreciate your time, man. Honestly, I think that being able to talk about my story and let it be heard, and just for other people to hear it, can be very, detrimental, very important for myself. Very therapeutic is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Very therapeutic for myself, and I think that it can definitely enlighten others that hear it and hopefully inspire them.
There is no doubt about it, my man. Kevin, thanks again, brother.
Yes, sir.